You probably think saying something about Joe Angel, is crazy or stupid or something. Creators are messengers, and so there's a lot of messages in movies and stuff. There again, you just have to, watch them with your heart, and you'll be able to see them. With the Watchers, the one reason that I say that the book of Enoch has got some things twisted, because he was still a rooted human, is because God thought that the Watchers wanted to have sex with human women, and so they abandoned to be with their women. Well, when they came down and their metaphysical heart was split, they were given the perfect mate, with their twin flame. Perfect mate. There would be no need for them to want to go to human women, because, they had their perfect mate that they loved. And people, when they love, they don't cheat. So them men never would have done that. And that's how I know one reason I know what happened with the Watchers. Because they just weren't cheaters. They weren't them kind of people. They didn't even think like that. So that's what I'm saying, Enoch, who is this real person, had this experience where God showed him things, and then he came back and wrote about it, and then somewhere along the line, somebody got a hold of it, and they twisted it up, man. They really did. And I'm not saying that because I'm all powerful or nothing, I swear, man. It's just when I was going through that, I was by myself, man, and I talked with God all through it, and we talked about, what was truth and what wasn't. And then, why it was true and why it wasn't. I mean, I swear I'm not trying to be any kind of a know-it-all, man. I'm trying to make it so you can activate, I call it the Philosopher's Stone. And then you can see both frequencies and everything. The truth and then, the dark lie behind it. And, we get that Philosopher's Stone activated, and then you'll have more, contact to know for sure. I know it probably seems like I'm reading things and then I'm twisting it up into whatever I want it to be. But I'm not, man. I'm really not. It's like I can really see the lie and the truth, even if some things that, I have said that come up to not be right, it's not because I'm lying or trying to lead anyone astray. This stuff's really hard to understand. It's really hard to understand feelings and messages that come through like that. They can get, skewed or, interpreted wrong by our ego, So I'm not perfect, okay? I'm not. I'm not going to say everything I've said is going to check out to be perfect. This is just the gist of what I get about God. That it's a God of love. It's not a God of, vengeance and harm. Maybe I should stop calling them humans. Maybe it's not even humans that disgust me. It's meat puppets. It's things that aren't even soulless things being controlled by the lower. And sometimes, when everybody seems to be just such the same, and say the same things, it's hard to differentiate between who is a meat puppet and who is actually just, a soul that's still asleep. That's why I told you I didn't know why I kept doing this and why I kept doing this is because I want to believe you have a soul, and I'm trying really hard to make sure it gets fully awakened. Not for my benefit, but for yours and everybody's, so you can find out what the fuck your purpose is here. Because it's probably not just to cut hair and, entertain Denby. And, I've helped a lot of people. I don't talk about all the commenting and talking and, sharing and other things that I do. Or, my custom art. And, I've actually shown people who hadn't seen it their own soul, And I'm not, there again, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying that, I'm not lying to you, man. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm not trying to take you away from the Bible or God or anything, I just want you to know the God of love and light, and I want your soul to be completely unlocked, and reaching back up to the heavens, instead of rooted in this dark, nasty shit that really deep down you don't fucking like. I mean, I hope not. I don't think so. I don't think you like murder and hurting people and robbing and shit. And and I'm not well liked for being myself, obviously. But you know what? The more people who start to do it, the more popular it's going to become. And then before we know it, people are going to look at other people crazy if they're acting like someone else, or don't have their own ideas about things, Because the more people who are individuals, the cooler it's going to come, and the more other people are going to do it. Until next thing you know, man, there's just real motherfuckers here, who are let you know what they feel, thinks, and everything, and then there's no problems, But, once they were rooted and forgot who they were, they thought that they were just regular humans. And then from there, they were manipulated into doing dirt or, just, staying where their energy is being harvested, just all kinds of stuff, and that's why they were separated from their twin flame, because they couldn't have them getting together and maybe remembering when they activated that heart, full metaphysical heart. So you just gotta remember, man, a whole lot of stuff has been done, and there was a whole lot of time before the Bible, and like I said, man, just sit with yourself and ask her. Don't ask God if I'm right or whatever. Just, ask God. God, I don't know. Just, what I mean? Just ask God to help you walk through it. And that's what I know to be important about, the things I figured out about, like the story of Moses and Cain and Abel, how even the Noah's Ark, I know the story behind that, is to show that, Noah's Ark, it wasn't God wiped out the whole world and only saved some animals because he was mad. God don't do that, no. That's the story of the saving of the humans. The Anunnaki took an ark, and they took 2 of every species of human and put them on there and brought them to earth to save them. That's what Noah's Ark is. It isn't about a vengeful God flooding the earth to, wipe out evil or whatever. It don't work that way, So, yeah. And in the book of Enoch, God opening up, the sky, and all those smited, we're going to go falling into burning hell and all that, man. I think that's just, something that rewrote it, to make people fear that God is vengeful and not of love. That's when it's getting lost. Even with Jesus, man, his only message was love. God's message is getting warped. It's love. It's not vengeance. I mean, even me, I'm like, yeah, they're going to get their karma and all that. And, well, their karma is going to be just not being able to go to a higher, realm. And they'll see that some people did, and they'll carry that in them, in their soul or DNA or whatever, until, they can get past it and learn the lessons. And then next cycle, they ascend. You gotta remember, I mean, you were pretty much a liked person, You had a lot of friends. You always had a lot of people to talk to. I've never been a liked person, really when it comes down to it ever. Even as a little kid, And, you were popular. And I get testy when I feel like I'm being laughed at or being made fun of and stuff. And I do blow up. And I got to prove how tough I am because, okay, yeah, well, I might be funny, but I'm also tough, So you laugh at me, but laugh all you want. It doesn't matter because I'm tough, And those are my shadows. I know that. Like I said, I'm aware of my shadows as well. I'm not just ripping on you. I've got my issues too. But this little week or whatever, and that full moon, man, there again, just more understanding is coming in. For me too. And like, to me, everything I was saying I was worried was going to happen with that interview, I felt like you did. You know, I was worried I was going to get off there and he was just going to, you know, start shoving a bunch of information out there that's, you know, goes against mine and what everybody knows, and, you know, to prove me wrong and all that. That's what I was worried about with him. And then it seemed like that's what you were doing. But when I talked to him, as soon as I actually talked to him, because he hadn't really talked to me much, he was pretty much just business-like before. But once he talked to me, I knew right off the bat, he would not be anything but nice to me and guide me to what it is, you know, he feels I'm trying to get out. He would never do that. But I felt like that's what you did. And it hurt my feelings. And, you know, it just made me feel like, oh my God, what the fuck am I going to do? I don't know what to do. How do I get this out? But, you know, I figured out that if that's what you were doing, you know, it's really not your fault, man. It's just where you are, you know, in the process, you know. When in the early stages, man, shit's fucking crazy, you know. It's crazy. You know, you went through all the crazy shit, like with the darkness, and now you're just now being alone and sitting with yourself and stuff. And shit gets weird then, too, you know. So, figuring out what it was, that it was the ego that does that helped me a lot, because it's really not your fault, man. And I think that's how, you know, people can get around that, is by saying, hey, ego, this isn't for you, this is for my soul. And then sit down and maybe listen to whatever info that's for your soul. And it, you know, your soul's going to hear you say that and start listening. And then, you know, it, along with God, will have a real clear channel to, you know, what's truth and what's not, to get around the dark that's manipulating us all over. Like you said, shit's fucking dark. Like that guy, the preacher in the church told you. Okay, yeah, I'm not a preacher in a church, but everything he felt and saw, I have as well. You know, the golden ones told me that the brighter you are, the darker you see. I can see the network, I can see the web of how everything works, how it's flowing into the dark, all of it, you know. And how we gotta fight it is by being ourselves and spreading, you know, what's true, what our hearts tell us is true, whether it's going to be ridiculed or not. It's important. And the ridicule and stuff, that's only going to be for now, because the light is won. We're just trying to catch up with it. It's already won, you know. But did it win 100 years from now? Did it win 2 years from now? You know, that part's what's up for grab, because as a free will. But the light's won. That's already done, you know. And now, just to get it moving on, man, one day, the people that do stand up and do give the fucking truth, you know, they're going to be the ones of the history books and stuff. And I won't be a part of it because I'm just a background worker. But you're Athena, a known goddess of Venus, you know. You could probably be known in the history books and shit, you know. Not that I'm saying that's what you want to do, but I'm just saying you step up and talk about what's in your heart and love and God and all that freely. There was going to be a reward, a fucking great one. And that's no bullshit, you know. And your test would be, if that was your mission, is, you know, God wants you to stand up and not be afraid to be you. The you He made you to be. You know, and express it freely, and express the thank you to God, the gratitude to God for making you you. And I'm telling you, man, that's what's gonna fucking change the whole world, man. But you gotta be brave, man. You gotta have that courage to stand up and say it, you know. And that's when God really, really, really fucking sees you like a beaming thing of fucking His, you know, His light. It really does, you know. That's why God and me are so close and talk, because He can see me, because I have done that. And I get mad sometimes, and I get stupid, and He doesn't like that. But, you know, it understands. Being spiritual, being godly, it isn't about being nice. It's about being real. You know, the more real you are, the more godly you are. Because the more close to you are to what God made you to be. And so how could you not be close to it? You know? If God is like this, but you're seeing it like this and you're trying to do these things because that's what you think God wants, but it's not what God wants because they're not of love, you know, it doesn't understand that, you know, you're programmed and all that, you know. It wants to see your faith in that way. Your faith in it by having the faith to be yourself. Because that's what God made you to be, you know. And I'm not saying you're not yourself, okay? I'm just saying it's hard, okay, to explain. But maybe I kind of showed you that with the rap music and stuff. And not to say if you were like, yeah, I'm going to be myself, you know, and you like rap music, okay? That's not what I mean. It's just that, you know, ask yourself, you know, sit down. Like, do I like this because I like it, me, Athena? Or do I like it because that's what everybody else liked, and so now I've just programmed myself to like it? I mean, and maybe you do, you know? But then maybe if you sit and think about it, you'd be like, man, maybe I don't, man. Maybe I always wanted to fucking listen to some yodeling or something, you know? Who knows? You know, just open up your horizons, you know? Not that you haven't or nothing. I'm just obviously talking, you know? But it just seems like important stuff, man. It really does. And my whole message is don't be like me. It's just be like you, man. And express kind of gratitude to God for making you, and, you know, by being it. It's fucking cool, really. Mother Shipton, she was like, kind of like a Nostradamus of another time, but a woman. And, you know, she's written about as this witch, you know. And it was just because she was kind of ugly. She was different, you know, and she ran and went and lived in a cave, you know, because she just wanted to be left alone because she couldn't walk on the streets without people, oh, the old crone, you know, and poking at her. And so she wrote her messages, not prophets, I don't like that, her messages, in these, like, they call them quatrains, you know, and they're like these cryptic messages, because if she had just come out and said that she was getting messages of the future, then, you know, she would have been killed or hung as a witch, you know. So, yeah, so she, you know, people treated her like the old crone, so she just became the old crone. But she was okay with that because she was by herself and she got to write her things and it made her happy. And what she said that stood out to me the most was, no prophet shall be accepted by his country, you know, and it was just saying that nobody who's saying weird things is ever going to be accepted by the masses. It's not going to be accepted by those who can't accept themselves, so they go along with everyone else. And then if you're being yourself, well, then they have to hate that because they hate themselves because they're not being themselves, and the whole fucking projection back and forth shit, you know. But, shit, I forgot what I was saying.